I noticed her phone light up with a text from work Andrew at 11 p.m. Strange, considering her company never contacted employees this late. When I asked about it, Jessica quickly turned her phone over. "Just office stuff," she said dismissively. The knot in my stomach tightened. It was the third suspicious incident this week. After 8 years together and 3 years of marriage, I thought I knew my wife. Now I wondered if I knew her at all. Something was wrong. And I had two choices: confront her with my suspicions or gather evidence first. I chose the latter. If you have ever been betrayed by someone you trusted, completely let me know where you are watching from and hit subscribe to follow my journey to finding justice for myself. I met Jessica at a college reunion 5 years ago. She stood out immediately with her auburn hair and confident laugh. We started talking about our careers, me in software development, her in marketing, and the connection was instant. Our conversation flowed effortlessly from work ambitions to childhood memories, and by the end of the night, I knew I wanted to see her again. We dated for a year before I proposed. It was a perfect evening at the same restaurant where we had our first date. Her eyes lit up when she saw the ring, and without hesitation she said yes. 6 months later, we were married in a beautiful ceremony with close friends and family. We bought a house in the suburbs complete with the white picket fence and yard for the children we planned to have. Those first 2 years of marriage were everything I had dreamed of. We balanced our careers with quality time together, took weekend trips to the coast, hosted dinner parties for friends, and talked about starting a family. Jessica was not just my wife, but my best friend. We shared everything: our fears, dreams, and daily experiences. The change began subtly. Jessica was promoted to senior marketing manager at her firm and started working directly under a new boss, Andrew Phillips. Initially, I was thrilled for her. The new position meant more responsibility, but also better pay and career prospects. I supported her completely, even when she started working later hours. "Andrew needs this presentation perfect. For tomorrow," she would explain when coming home at 9 or 10 at night. This client could mean everything for the company. I understood. I had my own demanding projects. But then the late nights became more frequent. Business trips that previously happened once every few months now occurred almost weekly. When she was home, Jessica seemed distant, often lost in thought or glued to her phone. "Everything okay?" I would ask. "Just tired" was always the answer. Then came the password changes. Jessica had always known my phone password, and I knew hers. We had nothing to hide from each other. Until one day when I asked to use her phone to look up a recipe while mine was charging. "I changed it yesterday," she said, taking the phone from my hand. "Security protocol at work. Let me look that up for you." More red flags appeared. She began taking calls in another room, her voice dropping to a whisper. She bought new clothes and wore perfume I had never given her. Our intimacy decreased dramatically. She was always too tired or not in the mood. The breaking point came when I found a credit card statement showing a purchase at an upscale jewelry store. The amount was substantial, over $500, but my birthday had passed months ago, and our anniversary was still months away. When I casually mentioned the charge, Jessica became defensive. It was a gift for my mother, she claimed. But her birthday was not for another 3 months. That night, while Jessica was in the shower, I heard her phone buzz repeatedly. Against my better judgment, I glanced at the screen. There were 3 messages from work. "Andrew, miss you already. Cannot wait for tomorrow. Did you tell him about the conference yet?" My heart sank. There was no conference on her work calendar that I knew of. When she emerged from the bathroom, I pretended to be asleep, my mind racing with possibilities, none of them good. The next morning, I called my close friend Thomas, who happened to be a lawyer. I needed advice. "I think Jessica is cheating on me with her boss." I admitted the words painful to say aloud. Thomas listened carefully as I detailed all the suspicious behavior. "Before you confront her, Giles, you need evidence," he advised, "especially if this might lead to divorce. Connecticut is an equitable distribution state. If infidelity can be proven, It might impact the financial settlement. What kind of evidence would I need? I asked. Text messages, emails, photos, videos, witness testimony, Thomas explained. But be careful how you collect it. Recording conversations without consent can be illegal, depending on the situation. Connecticut is a one-party consent state for audio recordings. Meaning, as long as you are part of the conversation, you can record it. But you cannot place recording devices to capture conversations you are not part of. Thomas recommended I consult with a divorce attorney to understand my options better. He also suggested I protect my finances immediately. Open a separate account, he advised. Not to hide money, but to ensure she cannot drain your joint accounts if things get ugly. That afternoon, I made an appointment with Rachel Winters, a divorce attorney Thomas recommended. Rachel was direct and practical. Do not confront your wife until we have solid evidence and a plan in place, she said. If she is indeed having an affair and planning to leave you, she may already be taking steps to secure her position financially and legally. Following Rachel's advice, I began gathering evidence legally and carefully. I installed a dash cam in our shared car, which Jessica frequently used to meet Andrew. I set up security cameras in our home for safety concerns. After a supposed break-in at a neighbor's house, these cameras were visible and Jessica knew about them, but I also placed legal audio recording devices in common areas of our home. I hired Liam Stevens, a private investigator. Rachel recommended. He was a former police detective who specialized in infidelity cases. Most cheating spouses follow patterns, Liam explained during our first meeting. They become predictable in their deception. Liam began surveillance immediately. Within a week, he confirmed my worst fears. Jessica and Andrew regularly met at the Westbrook Hotel during lunch hours. Liam provided photographs of them entering and leaving together, looking intimate and comfortable with each other. I felt physically ill looking at those images. The woman in those photos did not look like my wife anymore. She looked like a stranger wearing my wife's face, touching another man, laughing with him, betraying everything we had built together. But the photographs were just the beginning. The recordings from our home revealed conversations between Jessica and her friends about her relationship with Andrew. She complained about me painting herself as the victim of a loveless marriage. Giles is always working, she told her friend Stephanie on the phone. Andrew makes me feel alive again. He listens to me, appreciates me. The cruel irony was that I had been working longer hours to save for the family we had planned to start. Each late night at the office had been an investment in our future, a future she was now destroying. The most damning evidence came from an audio recording captured in our living room. Jessica had called Andrew while I was supposedly at a work event, but I had returned home early and quietly entered through the garage. He has no idea, Jessica said, her voice dripping with contempt. After we file for divorce, I will go for at least half of everything. The house investments, savings, all of it. My lawyer says with my lower income, I could probably get alimony too. Andrew's voice was smooth and calculating over the speakerphone. Once everything is settled, we can finally be together openly. I have been looking at houses in the Meadowbrook neighborhood. Perfect. For us and future kids. Future kids. My kids. The children Jessica and I had planned to have together were now being promised to another man. What about your wife? Jessica asked Andrew. Amanda and I are essentially separated already, he replied. She will get the condo and a settlement. Small price to pay for happiness with you. So Andrew was married too. They were not just cheating on me, but on his wife as well. The conversation continued, revealing more details of their affair and plans. They had been seeing each other for nearly 8 months. They had taken a weekend trip together during a business conference in Chicago. Andrew had given Jessica a diamond bracelet, the mysterious jewelry store purchase I had discovered. Each revelation was like a knife, twisting deeper into my chest. I could barely breathe as I listened to them, dissect our marriage, mock my trust, and plan their future using the resources I had worked so hard to build. That night, I could not sleep. I lay awake staring at the ceiling, Jessica sleeping peacefully beside me, unaware that I had uncovered her betrayal. The woman I had loved, trusted, and planned a future with was a stranger to me now. I spent the next few days in a daze going through the motions at work while my personal life imploded. My colleagues noticed something was wrong, but I deflected their concerns with vague explanations about stress and deadlines. After collecting evidence for 3 weeks, I met with Rachel to review everything we had gathered: the photos, audio recordings, credit card statements showing hotel charges, text message logs, and Liam's detailed reports painted a clear picture of infidelity and deception. "This is more than enough," Rachel confirmed. "The recordings in your home are admissible because Connecticut is a one-party consent state, and you were present in the home when they were made. The dashcam footage is completely legal, as are the surveillance photos taken in public places." I was devastated when I heard the full recording of Jessica planning to take everything from me. The woman I had built a life with for 8 years was not just cheating physically but plotting to destroy me financially. Andrew and Jessica laughed about how clueless I was, how easy I would be to manipulate in court. I felt physically sick listening to them discuss which assets they would claim and how they would use my long work hours against me. The private investigator Liam provided even more shocking evidence. He had photographed Jessica entering Andrew's apartment with her own key and spending entire weekends there when I thought she was on business trips. He documented them shopping for furniture together, clearly planning their future home. There were even photos of them looking at engagement rings, but the most crushing blow came when I discovered Jessica had been moving our money around. Rachel helped me obtain financial records showing Jessica had transferred nearly $40,000 from our joint savings account to a private account in her name only. This was money we had saved for our future children's education fund. She had started these transfers just 2 months after beginning her affair with Andrew. I also found emails where Jessica had consulted with a divorce attorney 3 months earlier. She had been planning this meticulously while still sharing my bed, still telling me she loved me, still discussing our future together. The depth of the betrayal was unfathomable. One evening, I overheard Jessica on the phone with Andrew in our backyard. I had installed a weatherproof audio recorder near our patio furniture after noticing she often took calls there. "I cannot wait to be free of this marriage," she said. "Giles is such a fool. He actually thinks I am working late tonight." Again, Andrew laughed. "What are you telling him this time?" "Client emergency. Same as always. He never questions it. Too trusting for his own good." "When are you filing the papers?" Andrew asked. "Next week. My lawyer says we have built a strong case for a favorable settlement. With what we have documented about his neglect and emotional unavailability, plus my lower income, I should get the house and at least 60% of our assets." I collapsed into a chair when I heard this. Neglect, emotional unavailability. I had supported her career, celebrated her successes, planned our future together. I had worked extra hours to provide the lifestyle she wanted. Now she was twisting everything to paint me as the villain. That night, I could barely look at Jessica across the dinner table. She chatted about mundane things, asked about my day with feigned interest, all while planning to blindside me with divorce papers within days. I called Rachel immediately the next morning from my office. "They are filing next week," I told her, my voice shaking with anger and pain. "She has been building a case against me, claiming I was neglectful and emotionally unavailable." Rachel remained calm. "This is actually good for us, Giles. Let her file first. Let her present her fabricated case. Then we will reveal everything we know. The contrast between her claims and the reality we can prove will be stark and damaging to her credibility." We spent the next few days finalizing our counter strategy. I secured copies of all important financial documents, backed up all evidence in multiple locations, and prepared mentally for the battle ahead. When Jessica told me she needed to talk about something important that weekend, I knew what was coming. I played my part perfectly, appearing surprised and confused when she explained that she was unhappy and wanted a divorce. "I have tried to make this work, Giles, but you are just not emotionally present," she said, her performance deserving of an Academy Award. "I feel neglected and alone in this marriage." I asked for time to process, to consider counseling, playing the role of the shocked, desperate husband. Jessica seemed almost disappointed that I did not react with anger. Anger would have fit the narrative she had created. 3 days later, I was served with divorce papers at my office, a humiliating public spectacle that was clearly intentional. The filing painted me as a cold, neglectful workaholic who had forced my poor wife to seek emotional connection elsewhere. It requested a 70-30 split of assets in her favor, ownership of our home and alimony. Jessica moved out that evening telling me she would be staying with a friend. I knew exactly which friend that was. For the next 2 weeks, I maintained the facade of the devastated, blindsided husband. I called Jessica, left emotional voicemails asking to talk, to work things out. Each call and message was carefully crafted to reinforce the image of a man who had no idea his wife had been unfaithful. Meanwhile, Rachel and I prepared our response. We filed a counter-petition with none of our evidence attached. It was a basic response that gave no indication of what was coming. The first hearing was scheduled for a preliminary division of assets and temporary support. Jessica arrived with her attorney, James Hamilton, a sleek, expensive lawyer from Andrew's firm. They looked confident, almost smug, as they took their seats. James presented their case, first eloquently describing how Jessica had suffered in a cold marriage, how she had tried everything to connect with her husband, who was always working or emotionally distant. He detailed her contributions to our home and marriage, arguing she deserved significant compensation for her sacrifices. Jessica testified tearfully about her loneliness, her unsuccessful attempts to save our marriage, her lower earning potential compared to mine. She never once mentioned Andrew or the affair. When it was our turn, Rachel started calmly. "Your Honor, we have a very different understanding of this marriage and its breakdown. With your permission, we would like to present evidence that contradicts Mrs. Walker's testimony." The judge nodded, and Rachel began methodically presenting our evidence. First came the financial records showing Jessica's secret transfers of joint funds. Then phone records, demonstrating hundreds of calls and texts to Andrew Phillips. Then credit card statements showing hotel charges, jewelry purchases, and weekend trips. Jessica's face drained of color as Rachel continued. Her attorney leaned over, whispering urgently, clearly shocked by the evidence he was seeing for the first time. Then came the photographs: Jessica and Andrew entering hotels, shopping for home goods, looking at houses together. Jessica's hand flew to her mouth. "Your Honor," James interrupted, "these photos could have innocent explanations. Mrs. Walker works with Mr. Phillips. These could be business meetings." "I understand your concern," Rachel replied smoothly. "Perhaps the audio recordings will provide context." With the judge's permission, Rachel played selected recordings. Jessica's voice filled the courtroom, clear and unmistakable, discussing her affair, mocking me, planning how to maximize her financial gain in the divorce, and deliberately fabricating claims of neglect. By the end, Jessica was openly crying, but they were not tears of sadness. They were tears of rage and humiliation. Her carefully constructed narrative had crumbled completely. The judge's expression had transformed from neutral to deeply disapproving as the evidence mounted. "Mrs. Walker," he said finally, given the evidence presented, "I find your testimony highly questionable. This court does not look kindly upon financial deception, infidelity used as leverage, or false claims of neglect." The temporary orders that followed were devastating for Jessica. She was required to return the transferred funds to our joint account immediately. No temporary alimony was granted. And most satisfying of all, I was given exclusive use of our home during the divorce proceedings. As we left the courtroom, Jessica tried to approach me. "Giles, you do not understand." "I understand perfectly, Jessica," I replied calmly. "I understand exactly who you are now." Her attorney pulled her away, his expression grim. Their perfect plan had just imploded spectacularly. Outside the courthouse, Rachel was cautiously optimistic. "This is just the beginning, Giles. But it is a very good beginning." The following week brought another surprise. Andrew's wife Amanda contacted me through Rachel. She had been served with divorce papers and wanted to compare notes. We met at Rachel's office, where I shared copies of the evidence that concerned Andrew. Amanda was both devastated and grateful. "I suspected something, but I had no proof," she said tearfully. "Thank you for helping me see the truth, as painful as it is." With Amanda now represented by her own attorney and armed with our evidence, Andrew faced battles on multiple fronts. His firm, concerned about the scandal involving a senior executive, placed him on administrative leave pending an ethics review. The final divorce settlement was nothing like what Jessica had planned. Instead of getting 70% of our assets, she received only 30%, and that was after returning the money she had secretly transferred. She lost any claim to our home. No alimony was awarded. Most satisfyingly, her relationship with Andrew collapsed under the pressure. According to mutual friends, he broke things off shortly after the preliminary hearing, unwilling to lose both his marriage and his career for someone who had been exposed as calculating and dishonest. The first few months after the divorce was finalized were the hardest. Even though I had won in court, even though justice had been served, I still felt hollow. Our house, once filled with dreams and plans, now echoed with emptiness. Every room held memories that stabbed at me when I least expected it. I considered selling the house, but decided against it. This was my home, purchased with my hard work. I would not let Jessica take that from me too, even indirectly. Instead, I renovated, changing the colors, the furniture erasing her presence room by room. Sleep was elusive in those early days. I would lie awake replaying our 8 years together, wondering how I had missed the signs, questioning if any of it had been real. Had she ever truly loved me? Was our entire relationship built on deception? The questions tortured me, unanswerable and relentless. Thomas and other friends rallied around me, ensuring I was never alone for too long. They invited me to dinners, sporting events, hiking trips, anything to keep me engaged with life. I appreciated their efforts, though sometimes their obvious concern made me feel even more broken. 3 months after the divorce, on Thomas's persistent recommendation, I started seeing Dr. Harper, a therapist specializing in betrayal trauma. Those weekly sessions became crucial to my healing. What you are experiencing is not just heartbreak, Dr. Harper explained during our first session. It is a profound betrayal that has shaken your ability to trust your sense of what is real and your vision of the future. We need to address all of those aspects. Dr. Harper helped me understand that Jessica's betrayal said everything about her character and nothing about my worth. The affair was not my fault. The lies were not things I should have detected earlier. The financial deception was not something I could have prevented. You trusted your wife because that is what people do in healthy marriages, she said. That trust is a virtue, not a weakness. Gradually, I began rebuilding my life. I joined a local hiking club and rediscovered my love for outdoor photography, something I had enjoyed in college but abandoned during my marriage. Every weekend, I would drive to different trails, capturing landscapes that reminded me how vast and beautiful the world remained, despite my personal pain. At work, I channeled my energy into a new project, developing software for financial transparency in relationships, a tool that would help couples maintain honest communication about their shared resources. The irony was not lost on me, but the project gave me purpose. 6 months after the divorce, Thomas and his wife invited me to a cooking class they had signed up for. I reluctantly agreed, though social situations still felt uncomfortable. That was where I met Sophia. She was attending the class alone, recently moved to the area for work. We were paired together for the evening's recipe, and her warmth and easy laugh made the night the first truly enjoyable one I had experienced in over a year. We exchanged numbers at the end of the class, and a week later I invited her for coffee. I was nervous, feeling like a teenager again, unsure of the new rules of dating in my mid-30s as a divorced man. During that coffee, Sophia mentioned she was also divorced. 3 years ago, she explained. He was not a bad person, but we wanted different lives. The separation was relatively amicable, but it still took time to trust again. Her honesty was refreshing. Over the following weeks, we continued meeting, more coffee dates, walks in the park, a local art exhibition. I found myself looking forward to our time together, thinking about her when we were apart. 2 months into our friendship, I told Sophia the full story of my marriage and divorce. I expected her to recoil from the messy details, but instead, she reached across the table and took my hand. "Thank you for trusting me with that," she said simply. With Sophia, I moved slowly, cautiously. We both carried scars that made us careful with each other's hearts. There were no rushed declarations, no impulsive decisions. We built a foundation of honest communication and respect. "I still have trust issues," I admitted one evening as we walked along the riverfront. "I know," she replied. "And that is okay. Trust should be earned, not given blindly. We have time. That was what struck me most about my relationship with Sophia. There was no pressure, no rush. We were two people who had learned the hard way that lasting relationships are built carefully, intentionally. A year after my divorce, I made a significant decision. I had kept all the evidence of Jessica's betrayal, the recordings, the photos, the financial documents stored in a secure cloud account. One evening after a particularly good day with Sophia, I deleted it all. Not out of forgiveness for Jessica, but as a gift to myself. I no longer needed those reminders of betrayal. The Jessica chapter of my life had ended. The lessons remained, but the anger and pain had dulled to occasional twinges rather than constant aches. The most profound lesson I learned through this ordeal was not about the dangers of trust, but about the strength that lives within us. I had survived what I once thought would destroy me. I had faced deception, betrayal, and humiliation, yet emerged intact. Different, certainly, but whole. I also learned that justice, while satisfying, is not the same as healing. The courtroom victory was important. It protected me financially and exposed the truth. But the real recovery happened in quieter moments, in therapy sessions, on hiking trails, in honest conversations with new friends, and eventually in building a new relationship based on mutual respect. Today, my life bears little resemblance to what I had planned with Jessica. There is no white picket fence, no suburban dream home filled with children. Instead, there is authenticity, hard-won wisdom, and a cautious but real hope for the future. If you have ever been betrayed by someone you loved, know that the darkness does eventually lift. The path forward exists even when you cannot yet see it. The betrayal does not define you. How you rise afterward does. I would love to know in the comments if you have been through a similar experience and what helped you heal. Please like this video if it resonated with you. Subscribe for more real-life stories, and share with someone who might need to hear that survival is possible. Thank you for listening to my story, and remember, sometimes losing what we thought we wanted opens the door to what we truly need.